Hey everybody. So we just looked at the playoff race and the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference. Now it's time to look at the West. So here are the Western Conference standings right now. This side is the teams that are currently in the playoffs. You have the Central Division, the Pacific Division, and then the two wild card teams. And this side shows the teams that are currently out of the playoffs right now. And we'll decide which of these teams out of the playoffs are all done and which ones are still in the playoff hunt and have the potential to get into the playoffs. So when you look at the West, you have Winnipeg and Nashville, who are really, really good. Colorado's having a good season, although they're only at 50 points, which, when you look down to the wild card teams, is tied with Dallas and only one ahead of Minnesota. So they're not out of the woods yet as far as losing a playoff spot, but they're solidly in a spot right now. So obviously all of these teams in a playoff spot are very much in the thick of the race right now. Calgary having a tremendous season. San Jose's right behind them. Vegas bounced back the second part of this season so far very nicely to get to 60 points. And then your wild card teams are Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas has 50 points. Minnesota has 49. Now let's look at the other side. So you have Edmonton at 49 points, tied with Minnesota but losing the tiebreaker. Anaheim at 49 points, tied with Minnesota but losing a tiebreaker. They are both very much still in the race. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they're tied points-wise for the last wildcard spot. They are very, very much in the playoff race. Vancouver somehow has 48 points this season and is only a point back of a playoff spot. Earlier in the season, I think probably back in like November, I declared Vancouver dead. I thought they were done. They haven't died. They've played actually pretty good hockey, much better than I thought they would given their roster, and they're still in the, potentially, I don't think Vancouver makes the playoffs, but you really can't count them out yet. They're only a point back. They're very, very close. They're only a point back. So clearly to me, given that the playoff cutoff line right now is 49 points, Edmonton, Anaheim, and Vancouver are very much right in the race. They're either tied or only a point back. Very, very much right there. And Minnesota's been very inconsistent this season. So there's certainly no guarantee to make the playoffs. Dallas has been no guarantee to make the playoffs. Colorado's been playing like garbage the last few weeks after a great start to the year. They're no guarantee to make the playoffs. I think there are spots available in the Western Conference. It's going to come down to which teams get out there, have a great February and March, and take those spots. That's what it's going to come down to in the West. Obviously, you have Winnipeg and Nashville, who are very, very good and clear playoff teams. You have Calgary, San Jose, and now Vegas, who are clear playoff teams. But other than that, the West seems pretty wide open, and wide open with mediocrity. The West I don't think is as good as the East this year. You have your very good teams out there, but then those Colorados, Dallas, Minnesota, Edmonton, Anaheim, Vancouver, all right near each other points-wise, is a whole lot of mediocre. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Which is why I am not counting out St. Louis or Arizona. I know it might seem absolutely crazy to say that, and given the way that especially St. Louis the season that they've had and how completely disappointing they've been, but they're only 4 points back of a playoff spot. I can't count them out at this point in the season. If it was the middle of March, maybe you could count them out, or at least have a better case for counting them out. But they are only 4 points back of a playoff spot right now. And there's still a good chunk of the season left to go. So you really can't count them out. And then Arizona, they're right there with 45 points as well. So if I'm not counting out St. Louis, then I'm not going to count out Arizona, which means that the cutoff line is right there under Arizona. Chicago and LA are done. I know points-wise they don't seem that far back, But look at the rosters, look at the teams, look at the way they've been playing this year. Chicago and LA are two of the worst teams in the entire NHL. They are not going to surpass all of these other teams to get back into a playoff spot. They're out. So Chicago and LA are out. But right now, those are really the only two teams that I can count out in the Western Conference. Because everyone else is within 5 points of that last playoff spot. So it's very wide open, I think, with what it looks like out west right now. I think you have your clear playoff teams like Winnipeg, Nashville, Calgary, Colorado, and Vegas. Those 5 to me are clear playoff teams, but you have 3 more spots out west because obviously 8 teams from each conference make the playoffs. You have 3 more spots out west. I think you have a lot of teams within striking distance for those 3 spots. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Edmonton, Anaheim, Vancouver, St. Louis, and Arizona are all within striking distance for those 3 spots. That is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 8 teams fighting for 3 spots. It's going to be a wild end of the season out west fighting for those playoff spots. But that should make for some really exciting hockey and some really fun to watch hockey. So that's a good thing for us fans. So that's my opinion on the Western Conference right now as far as the playoff hunt and who's still in it and who's out of it. I really don't see many teams out of it out west, only pretty much LA and Chicago. I mean, St. Louis and Arizona are obviously long shots for the playoffs, not likely to get in, but only being 4 points back, I really can't count them out yet. So, with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media, check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.